Good morning. Good morning, Dean. Good morning, Bella. Did you have a good weekend? Good morning, Chase. Make sure that as you come in, you're putting your backpack in your cubbies. I don't want them on the floor in the aisleway so nobody trips. So make sure your backpacks and everything's put away in your cubby, okay? And then when you come in, put it away and then sit at your desk with a voice level 0 and review the agenda that is on the board over here. Okay? I think number 1 says bell ringer and you have 5 minutes to complete it. So go ahead and walk up to the horseshoe table and pick up the bell ringer and start working on it. Alright, now that everybody's in here, I'm going to read the bell ringer out loud. So it says, Miss Hunter's family culture originated from Italy. My great-grandfather is Italian. We are Catholic and we go to church every Sunday. All the people in my family speak English. We celebrate all the holidays, especially Thanksgiving and Christmas, because we love to spend time with each other. Lasagna is very important to our culture because we love to eat Italian foods. What is the purpose of this paragraph? So, now that I read it out loud, I want you guys to think about it, reread it again if you need to, and then write down what you think the purpose of this paragraph is. So, like I said, you have 5 minutes to complete that. Okay, who thinks they can tell me what the purpose of that paragraph is? Let's see. Blake, what do you think the purpose of that paragraph is? Okay, so you think it is describing Miss Hunter's life and her culture. Yes, if you look at that first sentence in the bell ringer, it says, Miss Hunter's family culture originated from Italy. So, if you look at that, does anybody have any ideas as to why the purpose of this paragraph is about Miss Hunter's culture? Bella. Because it describes everything about her and her life, like what religion she is and what food she likes to eat. So yes, you guys are correct. So culture is about things that describe somebody and the way of their values and their traditions and what makes them a person. We are going to learn a lot more about culture today in our reading class. So, to begin, let's go over our Google Slides. So, let me pull that up. So, like I said, we are going to be discussing culture today. And our learning target is I can read a text on grade level with purpose and understanding. So you may be thinking, why are we talking about culture when the learning target is I can read a text on grade level with purpose and understanding? Well, that's because the text we will be reading later today discusses culture, traditions, and values. So today we are going to begin defining those vocabulary terms. So the first word we are discussing is culture. So if you think about my little paragraph I wrote about my culture and the definition, so the definition of culture is a pattern of behavior shared by a society or group of people. So if you think about that, I talked about where where my family's originated from, and how we are Catholic, and that we speak English, and we like to eat Italian foods. So some synonyms of culture is food, language, clothes, types of music. That's just some descriptions of what can go into the meaning of culture. So now if we go to the second word, who can read me the second vocabulary word? Let's see. Who's raising their hand? Jessica. What is that second vocabulary word? Beliefs. Good job. So beliefs are strong opinions, ideas believed to be true. So beliefs are opinions and ideas, basically, like what you believe. Say, I believe in freedom of speech. So that's my opinion. That's my belief. That's a very strong opinion. So if you go to our last vocabulary word, which is values, values are ideas about what is important and how to live in a way that is good or right. So a synonym of values is beliefs, principles, or morals. So let's read it again. Ideas about what is important and how to live in a way that is good or right. So I have a value of going to college and that is good for me. That is the right thing for me to do. So that's my moral. I went to college because I believed that is how to live in a way that is good, because going to college was better for my future. So that is a value. So culture, beliefs, and values are kind of similar, but they each have their own meaning. So I wanted to just define those vocabulary words so that way we had a better understanding of culture in our text that we will be reading later today. So now we are going to watch a YouTube video discussing culture. So as we watch this YouTube video, I want you to think about your own culture and what influences your culture. This video discusses culture and the details that surround culture. So you will learn a little bit more about this. And when you hear something that you can relate to, think about it, because you're going to use it in our next activity. So let's go ahead and watch the video. I need everybody to make sure they are paying attention with their head and eyes facing forward and not laying down on your desk. Everything should be put away out of your desk. We don't have to be writing anything down right now. So everyone should be paying attention. I'm going to go ahead and start the video.
Around the World by Nada Handley. Let's explore the world together and learn about different cultures. There are many cultures around the world you can learn from. Each culture has its own language, which is a way we communicate or talk with each other. Different cultures have their own traditional clothing. Traditional clothing is clothing used to represent who we are. Cultures have their own values, like family, friendships, and yes, education. Tell me, what do you value? They have their own beliefs. Beliefs are feelings and thoughts that people have of something or someone being true or good. We may be different in some things, but every culture loves traditional food. Yum! What's your favorite food? We all love to dance, play musical instruments, and sports. You live in Houston, Texas, a multicultural city. Even though we may be different in a lot of ways, we are still people. People that live in one world.
So now that we learned about culture, I want to take some time to fill out this culture web about you and your family, so that way I get to learn more about you. Go to the horseshoe table and pick up a Chromebook and then log in and go to your Google Classroom, and this should be on there. So let's go ahead and have everybody log in to a Chromebook, go pick one up and log in and go to your Google Classroom, and you should pull up something that looks like this. Don't start it yet. I want to go over the instructions first before we start. So go ahead and pick up a Chromebook. I want table A to go first. So go ahead and pick up your Chromebook. Okay, now table B, you can go ahead and pick up your Chromebook. And table C, you can go pick up your Chromebook. Okay, is everybody logged on? Okay, good. So what you're going to do is where it says your name's Culture Reb, you can click on that and a little box should pop up and you can type in your name. So I would type Miss Hunter's Culture Reb. So if you go all around these bubbles right here, it describes beliefs and values, what they are. So those are what important beliefs and values and ideas does your family and or culture share. So then you go to slide number 2 and it's beliefs and values, and you're going to say my beliefs and values are, and you are going to click on the box and type that in there. So then the next one, language. So you can go back here and it says language. What languages do people in your family and or culture speak? So go back to here and type in the box what language that you and your culture speak. So Miss Hunter speaks English. And her family speaks English. So that's the only language that I know. So next is tradition and holidays. So what holidays are important to you and your family? And then you would do the same thing. And then gender roles. So how are men, women, girls, and boys in your family or culture expected to behave? If you have any gender roles in your family. My family, we make everybody do equal amounts of work. We don't like to say women just do dishes and laundry. No. The men in my family do dishes and laundry too. So I'm not the only woman in my family that does dishes. So then next are rules. So what are the rules in your family? And then what kind of music and songs do you and your family like? And then what's your religion and what kind of foods or recipes are important in your culture? So remember, you are going to click on the slide, whatever it says, beliefs and values. You're going to click on the box and type my beliefs and values are, and then you're going to describe to me what they are. And if you need to refer back to something, you can refer back to the web, and it describes what you need to type in each box. So you will have 15 minutes to complete this, and then I want you to turn in whatever you have. Hopefully it'll be completed. I want you to turn it in on Google Classroom for me. I'm going to set a 15-minute timer because we have 2 more activities we need to do before class is over today. So go ahead and get started. Okay, so the timer went off. I want you guys to go ahead and turn in whatever you have to Google Classroom. I just wanted to learn a little bit more about yourself and your culture. And when you're done turning it in, close your Chromebook. And then I will have each table bring their Chromebook up and to the horseshoe table. And then I'll trade you. I'll take your Chromebook. And then I want you to pick up this Customs and Traditions Comprehension Worksheet. We are going to read it together. So let's have Table A bring up their Chromebooks and pick up a worksheet. Table B, you can go ahead and go. And Table C, you can go ahead and bring up your Chromebook and pick up a worksheet. Everybody at their tables should have a level 0 voice level right now. There should be no talking. Okay. So everybody should have their paper out in front of them. I am going to read the passage out loud, and then you guys are going to independently answer these questions. Now, we talked about culture and traditions, so this should be a little bit familiar to you. But there are some new terms that we haven't talked about. But if you think about what we just did with culture in our own web, you should be able to relate to this a little bit. So it should be a little bit easier to answer these questions. You just got to make sure you refer back to the text when we answer questions. So let's go ahead and I will read this out loud for everybody. Native American Indian groups in North America lived in different cultural regions, each of which developed its own customs and traditions. A custom is a specific way in which a group of people does something. This can include how foods are prepared, what clothing is worn, the kinds of celebrations, and much more. The set of customs developed and shared by culture over time is a tradition. A cultures' customs are often determined by the natural resources found in their environment. In the desert Southwest region, cloth weavings developed as a custom. The area has fewer large animals whose skins can be used for making clothing or blankets. Cloth weaving was a way of meeting the need for clothing without using animal skins. In the eastern woodlands area, however, hunting and fishing were daily activities. Since it was easy to get animal skins, developing skills like weaving were less important. The traditional roles of men and women in the native tribes varied as well. In hunting cultures, men were often away from home during the day to hunt animals for food. Women did many chores around the village while they were gone. In cultures where crops were grown, it was usually the men who tended them. Folklore was an important part of all Native American cultures. They had no written language. Telling the tribe's stories orally was a way they preserved them from generation to generation, so they would not be lost. The tribe used chanting, storytelling, and singing as a way to remember the tribe's folklore. The stories told the tribe's history, funny adventures, and accomplishments. Folklore also helped unite the people of the tribe. Religion was an important part of Native American cultures. The celebration of the tribe's faith and worship often involved special ceremonies. Harvest ceremonies were a common way to give thanks to the tribe's gods for a good crop. Other ceremonies combined religious songs and dances with social activities. The ceremonies reinforced the people's trust in their leaders' ability to provide for their needs. So, the instructions say, answer the following questions based on the reading passage. Don't forget to go back to the passage whenever necessary to find or confirm your answers. So, number 1, ask, what is a custom? So, you will go back to the passage and refer back, and you should be able to answer that question. What are the ways the Native Americans told their stories is question number 2. Question number 3 says, contrast what you have learned about the historic Native American cultures and what you know about your own culture. How are they different? 4 states, in your own words, explain the importance of folklore. And 5, explain why some tribes developed weaving. So now that I read the passage and the questions, I want you to independently work on this. You have 10 minutes to work on this. And then we are going to do an activity with it. So go ahead and work on it. Okay. So now I want to do a quick little activity discussing the answers. So you've already thought about it. We're going to use the Kagan strategy, think, pair, share. So you already thought about it. You already wrote your answers down. So now I want you to pair up in partners. So there's 2 and 2. So Group A is 2 and 2 across from you. I want you to pair up and discuss each of your answers. And then I am going to guide the discussion, and we are going to share out loud what the pair came up with the answer. So go ahead and pair up and discuss. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to do this. Okay, 3 minutes is up. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So what is a custom? Can somebody tell me in one of the groups, it doesn't matter which person it is, somebody tell me what they think a custom is. So, let's see. Johnny, what did you and your partner say custom was? Okay, a custom is a specific way in which a group of people does something. Now, how did you guys figure that answer out? What did you do to get that answer? That was just spot on. Oh, you went back to the text and you found it in the text. That's a great way to comprehend what you're reading. Good job. So let's do question number 2. What are the ways that Native Americans told their stories? So let's see. Where can I find this answer? If I go back and look at, let's see. 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, if I go back to paragraph 4, can somebody tell me what their partner found in paragraph 4 to tell us how they told their stories? Yes. Oh, they did storytelling and singing, right? Good job, Bella. So number 3 says, contrast what you have learned about the historic Native American cultures and what you know about your own culture. How are they different? So this is kind of your own choice. You're comparing your culture. So does anybody have any ideas on how the Native American culture and what you know about your own culture? Like, do you have any similarities or differences? Right. So they did weaving. That was a big part of their culture, right? So my culture, I don't really have weaving in my culture. So that's how I'm different. That's a good comparison. We are the same way, Jackson. I don't really weave, neither do you, but the Native Americans did. So that's how they're different. Good choice. Okay, question number 4. In your own words, explain the importance of folklore. So this says in your own words. So if we think about that, that means we can go back to the text and refer to it to find our answer, but we can't use the same exact thing. So a good answer, who has a good answer for me that's in their own words? Let's see, Nolan. What is a good answer? So you said it preserved the stories of the tribe and helped unite it. That is a great answer. That is not directly from the text. It is from the text, but you reinstated it in your own words. That was a great way to do that, Nolan. So our last question number 5. Explain why some tribes developed weaving. So we just talked about that, right? So who can tell me what the final answer? Who can get it right? Let's see, Megan. What was your answer? So you said there were no large animals in the area that they could use for clothing and blankets. So that is the correct answer. I want you to tell me how you found that. Okay, so you went back to the text. Yes, that is a great idea. So what should we do when we read something and there's questions about it? We always need to refer back to the text. Great job, everyone. Now, what I want you to do is put that aside, and I will come around and collect it. And the last thing we are going to do is a quick exit slip. Now, you have already seen this. This was your pre-assessment, and now I'm giving you the post-assessment. So, it is, what is culture? And you have 3 questions to answer after this. So, I'm going to read the paragraph aloud, and then you are going to individually answer these questions, and then raise your hand, and I will pick it up to collect it by the end of the class period, okay? So this needs to be finished by the end of the class period. This is your assessment for the day. This is your participation points. This is what I'm grading you on, so make sure you listen and follow along. So it says, what is culture? Our culture is the system we use to build our identity. All living creatures are part of a culture. Even animals have a culture. So what is culture? It's the way we behave in a group. It begins with each individual family. Within our families, we do things to build relationships with each other. This can include routines for doing things. It also includes traditions. Traditions are activities that are repeated on a regular basis. Culture is not limited to individual family groups. The real strength of culture is in larger community groups. These larger groups are called societies. Every society makes rules for itself. It decides how people should act in different situations. Some of these rules are written down, some are just things that are automatically expected of all members of society. Often, cultures can be identified by what people believe. Cultures are also known by what they choose to include in their art. Sometimes a society forms around people who speak the same language. Cultures may also be known for their customs, including the foods they make and the things that they do. Our cultures help us understand who we are and what we believe. There are two very strong emotions connecting us to our own society. Two different cultures may disagree on something, especially if they both feel strongly about it. When that happens, war is a common result. People are learning better ways to communicate with each other. The more we learn, the more we appreciate the difference in cultures. So go ahead. It says, what is the purpose of this article? Question number 1. Question number 2 says, tell about a tradition your family shares. And 3, in your own words, what is culture? So go ahead and do this post-assessment for me and raise your hand, and I will collect it. You have till the end of the class period.